Hello and welcome to Nanapod, a podcast dedicated to the fantastic manga written by A. Yazawa. I'm Crystal, and I'm joined by my best girl Kirsten as we dissect this manga, discussing everything from the emotions, the cultural impact, as well as any headcanons that might be floating around in our brains. With this podcast, we hope to preserve a shoujo staple that sadly hasn't been talked about in a very long time. So come with us. We're waiting for you in apartment 707. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nanapod. So this episode is going to be very strange, I think. As previously stated, my co-host has gone back to school, so she doesn't really have a lot of time to work on this project anymore because, you know, she's getting a master's, and that takes a lot of energy. If you know, you know. If you've ever been an academic, you know. For this particular episode, I will be reading this week's chapter, I should say this month's chapter, and then at the very end, I actually have a guest appearance from someone who I have done an art collab with on Instagram, and she also likes Nana. And I was able to get her onto the podcast, and we talked about it a little bit. So stay tuned for that at the very end of this. And so we are on, what are we on here? We are on chapter 52, still in volume 14. So when we just start this out, it's a shot of the warehouse, and we have the narration. It says, "It's a town buried in snow half the year. I thought about the place way up north that Nana talked about while looking at the snowman mark on the TV weather map. Will I be able to see that landscape someday? That's where Takumi grew up too." And then it looks like we're going back into the past here. So there is a little sign, and it written in chalk, and it says Ren and the gang is crossed out, and then at the bottom it says Ren love Miki, I'll be back, Yuko, and then on the side here it says no graffiti. Saw how well that went. And then there's a creak of the door as someone goes inside, and there's a whole bunch of people in here. It looks like they're having a party. And these two high school girls are like, "Hey, he's here." And one of them's like, "Takumi." And there is a guy at the door, and he's carrying a guitar. And he's like, "That face makes me want to punch someone." And the other guy, I think that might be Naoki. Maybe young Naoki is like, "Eek, don't hurt me." And both young Takumi and young Rira are just in here in their winter jackets and all that kind of stuff as they come into the room. And Takumi is asking this girl, he's like, "So, how were we?" And she's like, "It was awesome. You guys were really cool." And the other high school girl's like, "Yeah, Trap Nest is the best ever." And then there's some boys in the background, and they're like, "Hey, I thought you said we were the best." And the other guy is like, just laughing. He's just laughing. And then, man, is this young Naoki? It's hard to tell, guys. Like, the hair is all crazy. It's all, like, spiked up and stuff. And he's like, "Wow, damn, Ren, you live here by yourself? I'm so jealous." And now there's this other guy in the back with, like, really spiked up hair, and he's like, "Rira, you were great tonight. Heart, want a drink?" And she's like, "Thank you, Aruto, heart." And then this other guy who's got also floppy hair, but it's kind of down, almost like in a Leonardo DiCaprio from Titanic kind of way. And he's like, "Don't drink that crap those crazy guys give you. You never know what might be in it." And he like takes the drink from Rira. And this other guy's like, so where's Ren? And maybe it's Aruto is like, I don't know, in the bathtub. And the other guy's like, what? He's taking a bath? And then I believe that's Takumi is like, change the CD. And the other girl's like, what to? And you know what? I'm wondering if Ren's already doing drugs at this point. Because in the bathtub, that's usually where he likes to do his drugs. So anyway, Rira's going into the room and she sees Yasu sitting on the ground, and he is not smoking his traditional Blackstones. He is smoking a pack of cigarettes that are called Hope. I just like to point it out because I think it's interesting how the cigarettes change throughout the years. And she goes to say hi to him, and she sees that there is a girl who is lighting his cigarette, and we don't see her face yet. And everyone in the background is talking. They're like, blah, hee hee, come on, blah, blah. What's so shibuyaki about you guys? What a hick town. And then people are laughing. And poor Rira is just like in tears with the dot dot dots because she's just like, oh, who's the pretty girl? And then Yasu looks up and he sees her. And Rira puts on, this really happy face, and she's like, you were great tonight, Yasu, heart. And Yasu's like, Rira? And then now the girl who was lighting his cigarette turns around, and it's the girl with the mole under her eye. The one who's currently taking care of Blast, except her hair isn't black hair, it's like platinum blonde, so it was difficult to recognize her. And now Yasu has like gotten up and he's got all the sweat drops. And he's like, you shouldn't hang around a place like this. Why Takumi bring you here? Shit. And Rira's like, who was that girl? Your girlfriend? Now Yasu looks kind of annoyed, and he's like, well, for that matter, wow, what am I doing in a place like this? I really don't know. Gotta do something about that. And she starts laughing, and she's like, why are you sitting there talking to yourself? So really, who was that blonde chick? Your girlfriend? She's repeating, and she wants the tea, Yasu. And he's like, she's a fan from way back. And Rira's like, just a fan, but not your girlfriend? He's like, I don't have a girlfriend. She's like, but isn't there even anyone you have a crush on? And he's just smiling, secret Yasu smiles. And Rira's kind of waiting for him to respond, and he's not, and she's got the dots. And he pours himself another drink, and she's like, what's that? And he's like, bourbon. I drink the good stuff on the rocks. And she's like, but you're still in high school. Why you drink hard stuff like that? And she's got all the sweat beads. And she's like, that's old man stuff. And she's not wrong. And he's like, it's cool, man. Whoever sees this either drowns in the sea or becomes my partner in crime. Which will it be for you? And she's like, partner in crime, heart. And then he hands her the glass. She takes it. She gives a little shake, with like the blush on her face. And then she drinks it. And she's like, Atsushi told me not to drink anyone's poison here. Did you slip anything in it, master? And she's just staring at the glass like she can see, roofies in it or whatever. And he's just got the dots, and then he just smiles. And he's like, nope, but it is an aphrodisiac. And now she's looking at the glass like, what? Big eyes. And then now we are all the way in the present, and Rira is holding a glass of bourbon, and she says they were blasting Nirvana on the radio. In the spring of that year, Kurt, who I loved, died unexpectedly, and my first love didn't bite, no matter how much I chased him. So I just wallowed in my misery. But then... man, there's a typo here. But I realized I had a reason to be happy. I vowed to honor and cherish it. But in the end, I lost that too. Why do people stick around? But moving on allows us to progress in life. And then she turns around and she's like, hey, Ren, when did you first kiss a girl? Kindergarten. Ren is on his bed. They're in the warehouse, and he's fully asleep. And he's just snoring. And she's got all the dots. And then she sets the glass down. And we see a text. It says from Layla. And this is on 11/11 at 2:34. It's snowing. We had the day off and went to Ren's hometown. We're drinking all night at Ren's place here. This place brings back so many old memories. Please forgive me for setting you aside for a sec and talking about my old flames. Heart. I went out with my first boyfriend when I was the same age as you are now. And Shin's reading the text. And he's just smiling. And then Nana here, because we got a scene change, throws her empty pack of cigarettes at Shin and it hits him in the head. And she's like, my smokes are all gone. I'm going to die. And there's a whap. And he's got the, oh, God, because she hit him in the head. And Nana's like, wait, where's Genpai? And he's like, he went back to his room. And she's like, are you leaving too? And he's like, I'm just going to go buy some cigarettes. And she's like, good boy. And now there's a text message in return. It says, it looks like I'll be up drinking all night too at Nana's. Tell Ren that when he's not around, Nana gets lonely and drives me crazy. And now it's, like a little picture again of Nana saying, hey, where's Genpai? And Shin's like, I just told you he went back to his room. So this is like the forgetfulness that Nana, like, her time is just lapsing. And she's also drinking, but also like it's getting bad. And then it says, it doesn't make me jealous when you talk about your past. All those people and experiences helped form who you are today. Because Shin is just so good. And now we have another scene change, and Takumi's like, hey, Heart, it's Yuri Kosaka. And there she is on the TV. And she's like, what am I good at? Seduction, Heart. And Takumi is just thinking, loving those thighs, Heart, which, gross, Takumi. And there she is on the TV. She's all glamored up. And Takumi's like, she should just stick to porn. She works hard, but when you watch TV all day, you keep seeing people you know. This is pretty cool. Everyone works too hard. Me too. And Hachi's like, how do you know her? And he's like, I just met her at the birthday party the other night. Didn't you see her there? And she's got the dots, and she's like, I don't know. And he's like, I know you saw her. You freaked out when you saw her and Nobu making out. And now Nana's got like all the blush lines and the dots and has like a kind of face. To which Takumi, okay, first of all, you're sitting here on the couch ogling another woman, and then you're like, oh yeah, I know you saw her and you got just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. And he's like, it freaked me out too. When I think about Yuri doing it with Nobu, sigh, I'm jealous. They should let me in on it too. Ah, Takumi, stop it. And now Nana's thinking, how can Takumi talk about Nobu so casually? Is he trying to be mean? And then Takumi's like, oh, but then we wouldn't be able to tell whose baby it was again. And she turns back and she's got like the angry tick over her head, and she's like, because he's like, maybe we should all live together happily ever after. And she's like, Takumi. And he just looks over at her over the rim of his beer, and she's like, it's not funny. Don't talk about it like that. And he's like, actually, I wasn't kidding. I want to do it with Yuri. And he's got all the hearts, which I'm like, dude, stop. And she's like, shut up. The baby might hear you. Don't corrupt it. He's like, as if it would understand, even if it could hear me. And she's like, well, I don't want you talking about Nobu either. I just want to forget about him. And now he pauses, and he's like, all right then. So even if Sachiko grows up looking more and more like Nobu every day, we should just walk around on eggshells going, oh, how cute, heart, and not ever talk about it? That'd be weird. And now she's got like the, oh no. And then she's like, I don't want that. And he's like, then we have to be able to make fun of it and acknowledge the situation. Yeah, but the way you're going about it isn't cool, bro. And he's like, well, no matter what Nobu does or doesn't have to do with it, you and I can't erase our own past together. So you have to accept the facts as facts. Dude, what are you going on about right now? But she pauses, and he's like, I just think you're... And she's like, wait a minute. Daddy actually said something meaningful for a change. Say it again. And he's like, huh? Daddy? Oh, you mean me? And she's like, and I quote, because now she's got like a little legal pad here, and she's like, and I quote, accept the facts as fact. Let's make that our new model. And he's like, no, it's not that big of a deal. And she's like, yes, it is. Facts usually get twisted around because of assumptions, agendas, attitudes, and whatnot. And he's like, all right, so you get it. I was just saying you're more like that than anyone else I know. And now she's like, you're very objective and detached about things, almost too much. You're so harsh, which is true. Capricorn placements. And now she's got like little tears in her eyes, and she's like, I might think that this face cream I'm using thins out my face, but you look at me and say my face is still round. It's cruel, 'cause I broke the bank for the stuff. And he's like, it doesn't matter who looks at you. Your face is round. Which, again, I think that's totally rude, but she's not listening, thankfully. And she's sitting on the couch now with the sparkles and her little pad. And she's like, now I totally get it. I always thought he was weird, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I get it, heart. And Takumi is out smoking on the porch. And she's like, so that's why Takumi seems meaner than most other people. But Takumi isn't really mean. And he accepts me just as I am. And she's drawing a picture of him all mean looking on her pad. And it says, the facts. And now she's having a memory. And says, well, no matter who the father is, you're still the mother. So try to be strong, all right? Which was Takumi to her when she first found out about the baby. And now we have the think boxes, and they're like, I feel secure with Takumi because he can make objective predictions. That's why Takumi says... that's why what Takumi says never wavers. He probably understands more than anyone that people's feelings change easily, that what you see is a house of cards, that nothing's sure and nothing lasts forever. Yeah, but don't give him too much credit, Hachi. I don't like that whole scene. I bet that it was actually better in the other translations. That are closer to the Japanese version. But, yeah. Anyway, there's a scene change in room 2202. And somebody is crying. It's Yuri. And there's a beep, 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 and on her phone. And she's like, it's broken. Why do I always break everything? Stupid. And then there's a ding-dong. And she looks up, because remember she was waiting for Nobu. And Nobu is outside. And he's, he just got talking to by Yasu. So he is thinking. And he's thinking about what Yasu said, like, just try to think about it, Nobu, why Hachi ended up choosing Takumi. And he's thinking about the night that he tried to talk to Hachi after she found out she was pregnant, and he just couldn't say anything. And then there's a creak, and now Yuri has put on, like, cute little bunny ears, and she's like, hello, sweetheart. And he's got, like, the, And now he's got a sweat bead. And he's like, what kind of joint is this? And he closes the door with a slam. And she's like, what kind do you want it to be? With like a heart over her head, and he's got the dots. And she's like, image club, bathhouse, strip tease. And he's still not saying anything. And she's like, or an S&M club. And he's like, I don't want that. Nana is all the dominatrix I need in my life. How many times do I have to say it? And she's like, then just be mean to me, heart, sigh. And he's like, you have booze breath. Were you just drinking here alone? And she's like, well, if you got in here earlier, I should ask what you were doing. You better stay away from other girls or I'll give you an enema. She's holding like an enema bottle from somewhere. And he's like, sorry, I was just thinking about... And then he notices the size of the room and he's like, what's up with this room? It's huge. And now she is dancing around in her little negligee in her ears. And she's like, I got us a deluxe suite. Eek, eek. And he's like, why are you blowing cash at a time like this? You're nuts, man. How are you going to save up and quit your job like this? And then she stops dancing and she's got all the lines. And the lines are behind her. And he's like, hey, I'm sorry for being incommunicado for a whole week. And now she's got the dots. And he's like, I had no idea you were trying to quit your job. I actually thought you were really into it. Where have you been? And she's very sad. And she's like at a hotel in Tokyo. And then she turns around and she's like, oh, but a cheap one. I'm only living large today. Special delivery just for you, heart. And he's like, you don't have to do that. And then she's got a pause and like her eyes are very blank. And he's like, but I'm happy you came here to see me. I really missed you. And now she smiles and he's looking like really sad, but he leans in to kiss her. And now they are on the bed and they are smooching. And he brushes her face with his hand and he's like, Asami. And he's just like, so Miyu's coming here to pick you up in the morning. Please go back to the dorms with her, since I can't take you back while I'm on tour. And now she's getting up from the bed and she's like, you told her I'm here? And he's like, yeah, but I didn't tell the agency. It's better you go back on your own and apologize instead of making them hunt you down. It's all right. Miyu will be with you. And like her negligee was almost like half off, so she's like putting it back on and she's like, so why Miyu? Are you hooking up with her? And he's like, no, it's because I don't know any other friends of yours, and also Miyu's. And she slaps him. And she's like, Miyu's just Shikai's little pet kitty. She's not my friend. Don't get up in my business when I didn't ask you to. And he's like, oh, God, because she really, really hit him. And now she's up from the bed, and he's like, so what are you going to do? You think you can just do whatever you want? And she stops, sweat drop, and he's like, you got your big advance from Shikai, and you've already blown it all. 20 million yen. And she's got the dots, she's silent, and he's like, so now you owe them 6 more months of work. That's what your contract says. And she's like, I know. And he's like, then just fulfill that contract. Don't just run away. You're making it way harder than it has to be. And now she's just stressed, tears, frustrated, crying. And she's like, so you really don't mind me working in the porn biz? And he's like, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And now she's angry looking at him with the tears in her eyes. And she's like, that's it. Get out. And Nobu has resolve. And he reaches out and he grabs her hand. And she's like, I said get out. She's trying to like wrench her hand out of his arm. And he's like, what's going to be solved by you kicking me out of here? And she stops, struggling. And there's a pause. And he's like, are you going to break up with me and still go back to work? If you're going back to work, don't you think it'll be better if we stay together? And still just tears. And he's like, I can't fix this for you. It really frustrates me that I can't do anything about this. But I can be there and help Yuri Kosaka do her best for the next 6 months. And she's still crying, and he's like, after that, I'll do my best to support you, Asami. So I need you to do your best too. And she finally grips his hand. And there's a scene change. And there's a ring of a telephone, and it's in Miyu's room, and she looks at her phone and sees it's from Yasu, and she looks very happy. And then picks up the phone, and he's like, "Hello, Miyu. Sorry for calling so late. There's something I want to talk to you about." And she's like, "I heard about Yuri. Nobu just called me a little while ago." And he's like, "Really? What'd he say?" And she's like, "That he talked Yuri into going back to work and asked me to go pick her up at the hotel. What do you think about that?" And Yasu pauses and thinks. And he's like, "Well, I was afraid that if Nobu couldn't do it, I was going to have to talk to Yuri. So that's good." And she's like, "I know you're right. But why do I have to go all the way to Kyushu?" And he's like, "I was calling to ask you to come here. I'd feel a lot better if you were here for this, Miyo." And she's got a pause with the dots. And then she sighs and she's like, "Okay, I'll take the first flight in the morning, so I'll get to the hotel around 9 o'clock. And he's like, "Good. Just come up when you get here." And then she pauses. And she's like, "Room 2202? To Yuri's room?" He says, "No, to mine. You have to drop by, if you're coming all this way. I'm in room 2315. And she pauses and goes to write it down. And he's like, "We're checking out of the hotel at 10. I'm sure Yuri will be with Nobu until then. So let's have breakfast together. I'll have it all ready." And then she clearly she was writing stuff down and thinking, and he's like, "Miyu, are you listening?" And she's like, "Huh?" Because she's got like the blush lines and a dot. And she's like, "Yeah, room 2315. And then he smiles. And he's like, "So don't eat breakfast before, all right?" It's so cute, guys. Like, I just love them together. They're just the best. And then there's a vroom of an airplane. And there's a scene change here. And it says Hotels Fukuoka. And there's a click of a shoe. And it's Miyu. And now there's a punk rock girl who's like, "Hey, who are you inviting to the thank you party? Most of their regulars probably won't come. The band probably doesn't realize it, but they lost most of their old fans after signing to a major label, and 'cause of the way they debuted. It was like, if it sells, anything goes. And now our beautiful girl, I think that's Shion. I think that's her name. She's got this really cool, like, full skeleton hanging on her earring. And she says, "The leader of the band knows that. They don't need their hometown fans. We'll make up a list of diehard fans who love Blast now." Which, okay, fair. But, at least, other people are... The loyalty of OG fans is kind of important. But it is what it is. And now there is a creak of the door, 2315, and Miyu's on the other side, and Yasu smiles, and she's like, "Good morning." Just like trying to look as non-conspicuous. And then he's got all of the breakfast things here. There's like little bread bits and maybe some juice or water, coffee, tea, and he's just got the dot dots, and there's a clink, 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 and she's super cute in her little outfit with this little bow around her neck. And she lifts a fork to her mouth, and then she looks up at him and she glares at him because he is just staring at her. And then he's got a little sweat drop, and she's like, "What? What are you staring at?" And he's like, "It's just kind of weird." And she's like, "What is?" He's like, "Eating breakfast, just the two of us in my hotel room." And now she's got all the blushes, and she's like, "You're the one who invited me?" And he's like, "I know, but don't things seem out of order?" And she's like, "What order?" And he's like the dessert suddenly came out fast. "Maybe breakfast seems more like the end of a day rather than the beginning. The end of a long day for people who spent the night together." And in this shot, this is like the second time this has happened, we can see Yasu's eyes because he's looked he's like looking out of the window so the light is catching his face, and it's like, oh, he's being vulnerable. And he's like, a new day begins after that. And she leans forward and, like, in a rare show of just like almost whimsy from Miyu, because there's all like these little patterns in the back that are very floral, and she's like, maybe people have coffee after an all-nighter. And he's like, totally. That's why it feels weird, because nothing led up to it, but that's all right. And she looks, she looks down into her cup, and there's a ding dong, and there's a Yasu, and they both look up at the door like, huh? And he goes to the door and he opens it, and of course it's Nana. And there's a creak, and she's like, Yasu! And he's like, hey, keep it down, or we'll get more complaints. And she's like, I need a hangover cure. Got anything? And he just brings her in, and she is clinging on to him like a little kid. And he's like, yeah, like you're a little kid. How apt. And then Miyu stands up, and she's like, good morning, Nana. Are you all right? And Nana just stares. Is just, huh? And he's like, don't worry. She's fine. This happens every day. It's cool. And Miyu's like, she drinks that much every night? That can't be good. And there was a slam of the door with like the little angry tick over. I guess I should say it's underneath it. So Nana is angry, and she just stormed out. So I'm going to put a pin in this for a second, because I do want to talk about it. So Miyu's looking at the door like, what? And Yasu's just kind of got like this sweat bead. And she's like, now what happened? And he's like, she probably misunderstood. Damn. And Miyu's like, what? You didn't tell her I was coming? And he's like, no, sorry. It all happened so fast. I haven't even had a chance to tell her that Yuri was missing. And she's like, then I'll go and explain. What's her room number? And he has grabbed her by the arm, and he's like, it's all right. I'll talk to her later. I'm sure Genpai has medicine too. And she's looking at him, and she's like, it's not all right. She's probably shocked. Yasu, you're like a tranquilizer to Nana. And he's like, oh, she already knows that she can't rely on me. When Ren's with Nana, she doesn't get that crazy, so it's all right. And she takes a pause, and he's like, besides, I want to be able to eat breakfast with someone without worrying about Nana. Please join me. And she smiles. And she goes to sit back down, and she's like, but having dessert all of a sudden with me? What's the point? And he's like, then let's have a drink together when I get back to Tokyo. And she looks at him like, huh? And now, again, vulnerable, because we can see his eyes. And he's like, I'll bring back something from the road. What do you like? Now she's drinking her coffee, and she's all the flowers in the background and the sweat drops. And then she looks up and she's like, Jun Malshu Sake, heart. Or bourbon, heart. And he's got this, oh, look on his face. And she's like, what? And again, we can see his eyes, and he's like, you and I will get along just fine. Is it fate? And I'm like, stop, it's so cute. I love them together. But I do want to, I'm going to unpin the thing about Nana. That makes me so upset. And it always kind of has. Like, I know she has abandonment issues, and I know, that what had happened with Ren really, really traumatized her, but I'm about to say this as someone who doesn't really like to share her best friends. Girl, you have to share Yasu. It's not fair. Like, you're in love with Ren, Yasu's in love with you, and you're not going to leave Ren to be with Yasu, and like, it's almost like you're kind of stringing him along, and you're expecting him to stay in love with you forever and stay loyal to you, and that's not doable. Yasu needs a life outside of you. He really, really does. So Yeah, that part I've always been like, oh God, Nana, that's not a good look. Please don't do that. But, early 20s, and she's in a bad place. She's in a really bad place. So, we have a scene change, and there's a honk of this barge in the distance, and we see a bottle of Crazy Quill, number 8. And Ren wakes up, and he looks over and he sees that Rira has fallen asleep at the table. And again, guys, I know I'm harping on this, but I really do have to point this out. The fact that Rira did not go to bed with Ren is all the confirmation you need about the fact that they are friends. Like, they're not sleeping together. And she's dreaming. She's dreaming about the time in the past. And it's Takumi, and he's like, Rira! He comes over, and he snatches the bourbon out of her hand. He's like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be drinking. And Yasu's like, she was just having one drink. You're the one who brought her here anyway. She just followed me here, Takumi says. Don't get her drunk, Baldy. And Ryu's looking at him and going, you're so mean. And now she's really frustrated, and she's like, God, I hate Takumi. He makes everyone do what he wants. He really, really sucks. And Yasu's like, really? Then hang out with me. And she looks over at him like, And there's a splash because they're gone outside, and she's like, I wonder when it stopped snowing. It was snowing so much, but now the moon's out. It's a full moon. And he looks at his watch and he's like, it's already 4 a.m. Uh-oh, another all-nighter for me. And she's like, another? And he's like, this isn't good. I have to do something about that. And she's like, if you think it's bad, then don't do it. And he's like, you're right, especially now that I'm with you. And she's all the blushes, and she's like, yeah, right. Are you for reals? Are you just making fun of me? And he's like, why would I joke about something like that? It's not like, I'm not like Takumi. And she looks down and she's like, yeah, but, oh, I know why. It's 'cause I can't look you in the eye. Take those shades off. Can you even see me with those things on? It's dark out here. And he says, sometimes you see better when you can't see. She's like, huh? Why? And he says, close your eyes. You'll see. All your other senses get stronger when you can't see. And he's like, here, right now, you can only hear the sound of the waves and feel the crisp dawn air. You sense that completely. And she closes her eyes, and there's a splash. And she's like, you're right. And Yasu leans down in that moment, and he's taking his glasses off. And he leans down, and he kisses Rira. And then there's Ren, because they're back in the house, the warehouse, and he's like, hey, Takumi, where's Rira? Heart. And he's like, why would I know? Don't ask me. And our OG punk girl fan is like, Yasu just took Rira home. And Ren looks and he's like, really? Damn, that Baldy. And now we have like the narration over like Rira looking really shocked that Yasu is kissing her and then returning his kiss. And it says, people's feelings change easily. What you see is a house of cards. Nothing's sure, and nothing lasts forever. And then she pulls away, and he's kind of like tugging at a little lock of her hair, and he smiles down at her with his glasses off. And then the think boxes are like, but even when the moon looks like it's waning, it's actually always there, never changing shape. Don't ever forget that. And then Rira has like tears in her eyes as she's sleeping and having this dream. And that is the end of this chapter, guys. So, thank you for sticking around with me for this. And be sure to stick around till the end of the episode. And, yeah. Well, I have my special guest on, and it's a lot of fun. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you next month with the next chapter. Good night. Yes, it was something to actually record because my girlfriend and I were doing a podcast for Nana.
Oh,
Um, yeah, but she's in school now, so it's very difficult to kind of get a hold of her at this point.
that makes sense. What's she going to school for?
Oh God, she's going back for, I believe, a master's in history.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a specific focus though. She was like, I don't want to study war anymore. And I'm like, that's so fair.
Yeah. I feel like war dominates a lot of like teaching of history in my experience.
Yes, absolutely. And she's indigenous, so she's just like, that's not
Oh,
the lens
yeah.
of, yeah, she's like, no more of that, please. So, and I'm like, yeah, that's that's so fair.
Yeah.
Um, so, uh, yeah, it's also really hard to find anyone else who even knows what Nana is and actually likes Nana. So,
Yeah, that's honestly so true. Like, I have a bunch of friends who are into anime and stuff, and like, I feel like most of them don't really know much about Nana. I mean, there'll be okay. I mean, there have been some nice occasions where I've worn like a shirt or something, and then people will be like, "Oh, that's from Nana, isn't it? I love it," and stuff like that. Or like, you sing like a Nana song at karaoke, and people are like, "Oh, you sang something from Nana." But I think because it's like a bit on the older side, and also because it's not like a shonen, like it's a bit more niche these days, I feel.
yeah, absolutely. It was old. It is old. It's happening in 2001. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, sorry, I'm also like the worst host because I've ever done this before. Girl, what is your
No
name?
problem. Like my real name?
Yeah, because like I just refer to you as like awesome when I'm talking about you in my house.
Oh, I'm talked about in your house?
Yeah, because like sometimes we're like chatting on Instagram and they'll be talking to my husband and I'm like, so I was talking to Awesome Sauce today and we were having this conversation and so yeah,
Oh, okay. My real name is Shiren. The pronunciation's kind of hard, but it's spelled Shiren.
okay.
Yeah.
Shiren.
Yeah.
Cool. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Um, so I guess for this um mini episode or what have you, how did you get introduced to Nana? How long has it been with you?
Oh, not very long actually. Oh geez, I feel like I can't even really remember like how I originally got into it or something. I think I was just like in a time where I was getting into like more shoujo adjacent things. So I think before I got into Nana, I got very much into Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Yeah.
Um And then I guess like because of Utena, maybe I started seeing more things about Nana. And I think I also have a friend who's a bit older than me who is also familiar with Nana, so maybe I'd heard about it from her. Um,
Mhm.
so then I decided to just start watching the anime, and I think I had like some idea at least that it was like sad, but I don't think I knew how sad it was. 'Cause I think when I started watching, I was like, well, okay, this wasn't that long ago, so I was like 19 and
Mhm.
just about to turn 20. And then I was at first when I was watching, like it seemed like really, you know, light-hearted, like the first like I don't know 10 or so episodes. And I was like, wow, like I want my early 20s to be like this. And then I kept watching on and I was like, ooh, I do not want my 20s to be like this at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fair. How old are you now?
Well, it wasn't that long ago, so I'm 20, turning 21 this year.
Oh my
Mm.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's a child.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, well, okay, so you have to understand that I only say that because okay, so the first time I ever lore drop, I guess. So the first time I ever saw anything about Nana, they were releasing it in small magazine form here in the States back in 1997,
Oh
98.
wow.
Yeah, I still, one of my girlfriends actually ended up giving me, it was Skip Beat, I think was the name of the magazine. And that's how we kind of got our anime at certain points during our, you know, tween years. And I just kind of saw pictures of it. Wasn't really like, what's up with this art style? Because I'm a huge Sailor Moon fan, so that's what I was used
Yeah.
to. Um, and then in, oh gosh, my early 20s, I had my girlfriend who I was actually doing this podcast with. She had all of them on her shelf, and I was like, "Hey, I remember seeing this when I was a lot younger." And she was like, "You need to read it, like right now." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went and I picked up the first volume, and I bought all of them from the little store in Seattle that had all of the manga because it's in the International District.
Mm.
And so yeah, I read it all through up until it went on hiatus. So
Oh,
that
that's
that
really
was in
cool.
yeah. So um that was something that we were kind of noticing is because we were reading it, like she read it in the early aughts, I read it in the 2010s, so it wasn't too big of a difference, but now we are noticing that there is quite a significant difference in like your age bracket when you guys read it and your takeaway versus our takeaway because we were,
Oh yeah.
you know, almost 20-year-olds, almost the same age as the two Nanas when this was released, kind of, sort of. Um, and then, yeah, I can see why you wouldn't want your 20s to be like the Nanas.
Yeah, I feel like Nana definitely like when I read it, I like there are certain things where I'm a bit like, but then I like keep in mind like the time that it took place and like the fact that like culture was so different back then. Like
Mhm.
even I like I was born in in the middle of the 2000s, but like even I remember like some of the a lot of the weird toxic things in that era. Like
Mhm.
even just looking back, because I remember like America's Next Top Model and like stuff like that, and like looking back on it, I'm just like, oh, so like that's what was going on back then. Um,
Mhm.
like all these different standards and different things, and I keep in mind that that was the era that the nanas were growing up in, especially in like a Japanese context and stuff. So
Mhm.
I think it's like, I mean, you can almost see it as like, like a period piece of that time, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like very interesting to see like all these different things and of course like the band culture and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I think also because of like how different things are socially in the 2020s, like sometimes we might see a character like a different way than maybe somebody would have at the time that the story was taking place.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. I love that. Time capsule, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it, Something that we oh, I guess I should back up. Did you read the full you've read all 21 volumes?
Yeah, well, okay, the thing is, I watched the anime basically, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think I started reading from where the anime cut off, and then I think I might have read volume one and two, but I don't think I've read like all the volumes that like are covered in the anime. So,
Okay.
but I know like I've I think I'm like caught up on the end of the story, so I know like everything that happens, I'm pretty sure. Unless there was like some like small detail that was in the manga that was not in the anime that I missed. But yeah.
So one of the things that me, Lisa, and I were discussing throughout the almost like year and a half, because we got all the way up to volume 14, which is where we are at the moment, in just going through. We were we were discussing how a lot of people only watched the anime and then they picked up in the manga where, it left off, much like you said. And there are differences in the manga versus what they actually put into the anime, and those differences are actually so important for
Oh,
understanding as a whole. Um, especially because the what do we got here? This is oh God, Viz Media. Viz Media has a very different way to translate their stuff. So what Melissa had done is she had found a website where there were scans of the manga as translated more true to the Japanese version.
oh,
And
okay.
yeah, yeah, it's different. It's so different. Like some of the stuff that happens, obviously, this was, we were translating this in '01. So there's a lot of stuff that the characters say that you're like, why did they say that? That doesn't make any sense. And then she would read it, off of the website, and she was like, actually, they said this instead. Some of the tone is softer, or people are less mean or catty in
Oh, okay.
so yeah. And we actually are the volume 21 I discovered because it should be linked in here somewhere down, I believe. Is it in general chat or is it in volume? No, where was it? Was it websites? It was in websites. There is definitely a website that has all the scans in there closer to the translation of the Japanese version, and we're missing about mm, two other chapters that did not get published
Wait,
in
so wait, okay. Wait, actually I think I found out about this because I was reading like the manga volumes, and then like I was in like the Nana subreddit, and then people were talking about something that like Asami said or something, and I was like, what are y'all talking about? Only to find out that there's like two chapters that were not put in like any volume, so I had to go like search those out and read
Yeah.
them. And like I thought I was finished, but then like no.
Yep. And I discovered that as well. And I was like, oh my God, I was missing stuff. So
Yeah, it
uh,
was so frustrating.
it is.
But I think the one I read was like a scanlation though, so I don't know if it was ever like officially translated.
Yeah. Some scantillations I think are and some are not. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, and the differences that happened throughout that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think like a translation can definitely make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Um, especially because like we have such different views on stuff here in the West, and we're kind of ridiculous. Um, especially like I noticed like some of the cattiness that they had put into it, and it's like, oh, that's a very Western idea of like mean girls, and that's not the same as Japanese culture.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
who's your favorite character?
Ooh, that's kind of a hard question. Ooh, I don't know, 'cause like I I feel like I've had a long time to think about it. Like I feel like that with like every character except for if well, okay, there's like maybe like two or three characters that I just do not like.
Okay.
But then I feel like most of them I'm pretty sympathetic to them even though I get frustrated with them sometimes. Um
Hmm.
I would have to say, I feel like over time I've been starting to like Hachi more than I like Nana O. Um,
Okay.
Weird because I feel like there was a period where I was a bit of a Hachi hater, but then I think eventually I just started feeling so bad for her that I couldn't even hate anymore. You feel me? Like, um, yeah, but I feel like Hachi's a very interesting character, and I always like feel the need to like defend her and stuff because I feel like she gets a very um bad rap because I mean she does make a lot of pretty stupid decisions, but I feel like she generally does try to make the best of like whatever situation she's in. And I think that
Hmm.
valuable, but sometimes I feel like the fandom, from what I've seen, is very obsessed with like being like, this character is better than this one. And like, that's not really like the point of things at all. I mean, I think sometimes even I get sucked into that, but then it's, and then I see like a lot of people getting like angry at Hachi, but I think sometimes it's like because a lot of people Hachi reminds them of themselves or like of like a friend that they're frustrated with. So then I think sometimes people can be projecting that onto her. Um,
Hmm.
but I feel like she's a pretty understandable character, even though she doesn't always make the decisions that I would make. Like, for example, like with like keeping the baby, I don't think I would keep the baby, but like that's me. That's not Hachi. Um,
Hmm.
the thing is, I think that she should have probably just gone home and raised the baby with her family instead of getting with Takumi. That's like the main problem I have with her decision, but I don't have a problem with her having the baby in general, you know? Um,
Hmm.
and sometimes I feel like people aren't very understanding of that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely happening in a time, right? Oh one. Um, the it was a little rocky, around ideas around like abortion and all that kind of stuff back then.
Wait.
But yeah, and I mean, you're right. People do see Hachi as like, oh, a friend I'm frustrated with. I find that within ever like girl friendship or female presenting friendship, there's usually one Nana and one Hachi. It's just which one are you?
Yeah.
So I've been Hachi and I've been Nana. So, it just depends. But yeah, I can see why they don't um have nice things to say about Hachi, even though I love Hachi. I think she's a very sweet, dedicated dum dum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but that's why I love her. She's so loyal. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, and uh, so who are the characters that you know that you're like, I dislike these characters?
Okay, well, I mean, obviously Takumi, I mean, I don't really want to harp on Takumi because I feel like the fandoms definitely said their piece on Takumi, but yeah, I just don't find him very likable. I think he's an interesting character, don't get me wrong, but like he's just kind of frustrating for like a lot of different reasons. Um
Yeah,
Um,
he's he's so pretty.
yeah, he is, but I'm
I
just tired of him.
I know, no, I get it. Like, so Takumi's actually Yazawa's favorite character.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, interesting. So, like, Melissa and I have this whole like running joke that Takumi's a war poodle. Um, because he's just like the most, because he's so aggressive. He just
True.
he like bullies people into like doing what he wants, but he's so driven. Um, and he does love and care about his band, but also his childhood was fucked up, so
Yeah.
it manifests in a way that you're like, oh,
Yeah. I do feel
okay.
bad about his childhood because he did go through a lot, but I feel like you don't see a lot of growth from him, and like I feel like that's kind of frustrating. And I feel like sometimes his behavior is also partially why Reira, a character that I also don't really like, is kind of like that, if you get what I mean.
Like, I think so. Like, so here's the thing about like Takumi and his growth. Because we it's not finished. I think a lot of his development happens off screen, when they're older, and we don't get to see that process.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's just what I think. I really like Rira, but I relate hard to Rira because, and this is just me, I know what it's like to be in love with somebody who ultimately chooses somebody else, and you just feel incredibly heartbroken by that decision. So it,
Yeah.
so yeah, I like Rira. I've never really understood the Rira hate. She's essentially a princess in a tower, and she's never been allowed to really live her own life. So that's just me. That's that's where I come out with that.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I feel like for me, I don't necessarily hate her personality, but I feel like she does a lot of I mean, I feel like in some circumstances I would actually like her because, I do like her scenes with like Ren and stuff because I think they have a good dynamic, but I
Mhm.
just can't really get over like how she treats Sheen, like especially when she
Uh,
finds out that like he's when she does find out that he's underage, like I just can't really get over with that because it's like, yeah, I mean, I understand why Reira is the way she is. Like, she's definitely been sheltered and like hasn't been able to live a life outside of singing. And like, I think Takumi like does contribute to that as well. And
mhm.
um, but then at the same time, it's still like you're still allowing your issues to kind of harm this child, and it's a bit upsetting. Like I'm glad that they end up breaking up at some point, but yeah, it was just a little frustrating. And yeah, and like also on top of that, like with well, okay, I mostly blame Takumi for the cheating, I'll have to say, but it's just
Mm.
not really great, especially since like Hachi was pregnant at that time.
Yeah. So yeah, something Melissa and I had discussed about Rira was not excusing the stuff with Shin. Well, one the age of consent in Japan is 16. Um So, like, but it's not like an excuse, right? It's like that's still a
Yeah,
kid, like it's a both and situation. It's like, mm, yeah, your age of consent is really low, and that's really, really gross at the same time. So there's that, and also that Rira, yeah, like you said, that can blame Takumi for a lot of the way that she is, and she is stunted. There's a lot
yeah,
of
definitely.
stunted. So they're almost on the same mental level, but again, it's not like an excuse because she's like,
Yeah,
a 20 something and he's a teenager. Um,
yeah.
but he's also, oh, I love Shin. He's one of my
Yeah, he's
favorites.
awesome. I love him.
Yeah, I love him. He's also I've had friends like Shin when I was his age where you're like, "Oh my God, you're actually like an adult," even though they're not an adult.
Oh
You
yeah, I
know what?
think I've had that experience too. I've definitely had a friend who, like, now that I think about it, kind of reminds me of like Sheen in like some ways that I won't really like get into right now, but it's kind of like
Mhm.
you're like worried about them, but you can't really do anything because you're also a kid, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those poor babies, you want to hug them and be like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, poor Shin. And he gets it. There's rough stuff because he was groomed. Like that's also a thing,
Yeah,
like he was
like by oh, I forget her name, like the
the
woman who oh, I don't remember her name.
yeah, the Rira look-alike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so there is that. What's the other spicy talking point? Oh yes, the one that always gets under like my skin personally. What's your take on the fact that the fandom is dead convinced that this is a doomed Yuri manga?
Um, well, I I kind of have complicated feelings about it because I okay, I see where people are coming from, but then I also don't really like it when people promote it as a Yuri manga because people have something in mind when they picture Yuri manga. Like there's an expectation that, you know, they're going to be together at least at some point and then be broken apart. But then it's like for me, I mean, I think there's like a lot of different valid interpretations of Nana as a story. And I feel like it's very valid to see them just as friends. Um, for me, I do feel like there might be like a queer element to it, in my opinion. Like it's the way I see it is kind of like two women who like may have attraction to women but haven't realized it because there's not like a societal space for them to have those feelings in the era that they live in. And then that love never really gets realized because of life circumstances and social norms. So I would see it more as like a queer tragedy rather than like a Yuri. But then when people say it's Yuri, then people will go into Nana watching it and then get mad that like they end up with men or something. Um, because I feel like people do that with a lot of different shows. Like they'll say that it's like it's Yuri or it's BL when like maybe it just has, you know, you can interpret it as having like queer themes or something. And I don't even know if that's like the original intent. I think that's just like a reading, a valid reading that a lot of people take from it. But then
Mhm.
like including myself, but I feel like when you like I feel like a huge part of the problem is there that the fact that there's not within like a lot of manga and anime there's not a space for queer stories that aren't like exclusively romance. And
Mhm.
so when people are talking about like stories with queer themes, sometimes they'll just say, "Oh, it's a Yuri, it's like a yaoi, it's a BL." But then when people think of Yuri and BL, they have a completely different idea of what the story is supposed to be. Then they go watch it and then they say it's boring because they were not set up properly to expect what it is. So I would not call I would not call the story in itself doomed Yuri outside of like maybe like an offhanded joke or something, but I do see like queer themes in it in a way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Melissa and I discussed it. We can see how, like, it's sapphic adjacent.
Yeah.
Um, so like, for transparency, she is a straight woman, and I'm bisexual. So I don't exist technically. But
Oh.
you know, sorry. I'm bitter. But you know, it's we were discussing how like we can see definitely Hachi having maybe by curiosity or like you said like oh there's really no room to explore because of the time and all that kind of stuff and she's so dead set on a man and getting married and that whole thing. Um not a lot of room for exploration.
Yeah.
Um So I guess the biggest question that we sort of had in this, like, you know, with the new crop of people that are coming to Nana was we have so much representation now. Why Nana, which is was not built as a queer story, sapphic adjacent, absolutely, but Nana O straight up says, "Girl, I'm straight." So it's like, why does everybody forget that part? She said it with her mouth. This just the
Um,
question we've been mulling over for a minute.
yeah, I don't know. Um, that's kind of a tough question. I mean, uh, I feel like because a lot of fandom people are kind of trained into like finding like queer romance in places where maybe it wasn't like intended to be because I feel like with like Japanese media, like you're mostly only going to find it in like Yuri and
Hmm.
stuff, like queer representation for the most part. Whereas with like Western shows, you can have like a show that's like, I don't know, about zombies or something, and you can find like lesbian rep sometimes or something,
Hmm.
but like when if a Japanese show wants to do that, they have to be like really subtle about it.
Yeah.
Um, because otherwise it will just get like, you know, categorized as this is Yuri, and then it'll miss out on like the general audience who doesn't really want to consume Yuri, um,
Okay. Yeah.
which is unfortunate. So I think that's I think people are kind of used to finding um like queer representation in places that it maybe wasn't always intended to be in or not, or sometimes finding that like subtle representation. And I think that because like Nana, as you said, is like sapphic adjacent, people do like search for that
Hmm.
away. And I also think part of the problem is maybe a lot of people are anime only watchers, and like
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like queer stuff doesn't get adapted that often, and most of the time when it does, like into anime, it's BL because there's more of an audience for BL. So I feel like there's not that many like Yuri anime specifically. So maybe people will kind of latch on to like, you know, small bits like wherever they can get it. And then they'll advertise it to other people as Yuri, which is kind of false advertising. And then people will come up and be like, "Where's the Yuri?" You know?
Yeah. No, I can see that, especially being on the OG internet and having, you know, like watching the shipping wars.
Yeah.
Oh God, the shipping wars, and that's you know when we were absolutely looking for like representation, which is also like crazy to me a little bit as well because it's like well guys like Sailor Moon's got queer aspects.
That's true.
Um and, like you know we have Haruka and Michiru. um you know they're queer and I yeah that actually I think you're right about the BL thing which have you seen either Kanazuki no Miko or Strawberry Panic?
I don't think so. Sorry, I'm I'm not like that into BL. Like I do like engage in like slash shipping sometimes, but like in I like I'm not into like BL that much, so I'm not exactly familiar.
Okay. So Kanazuki no Miko and Strawberry Panic are Yuri.
Yes,
But
I'm sorry.
oh,
I'm still just
no,
like how unknowledgeable I am.
you're okay. That's okay. They're also old. So
Yeah.
I don't, these are all like from like 2003, very popular at the time, and of course a lot of discussion around Kanazuki no Miko because it's girls, it's girls in love and mecha.
Ooh,
So
that's
you know,
cool.
it was cool. At the time I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. But yeah, there was a lot of conversation around Kanazuki no Miko because well, there's a rape that happens
Oh,
that's not super
okay.
great. So like if you ever see it, like trigger warning for that, because I didn't have trigger warnings back then. But
Yeah.
like what tended to happen when I was growing up, like there was, BL, that's boy love, right? Like I'm pretty sure I'm
Yeah, boys love.
okay. Okay. So a lot of the girls that I grew up with that were into anime, that were into like yaoi, were fetishists.
Oh, that's
So
funny. Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's a bit better now, but you still see it occasionally.
yeah, it's always kind of like I think that every queer story needs to be told, but there's definitely like an adverse. I kind of skirt around it, not because I don't love it, but because I don't want to be in the same pool with girls that are like, I love when boys kiss. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you're
Point.
like, could you a flash I get high school flashbacks and I'm like, please stop. Please don't. I'm so uncomfortable. Just let those two boys be in love and let them just have a great romance without you sticking girl your girl self into it. It's making me feel gross.
True.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I get but that's the thing too, is that I wonder if people like they've forgotten about some of the other stuff that we did have back in the day. It gets swept under the rug, or the conversation, gets like, I don't know, beaten to death with like, well, it wasn't a perfect representation of a Yuri story, so I don't want to engage with it. And I'm like, you're going to be waiting forever
Yeah.
if you want perfection.
Yeah.
There's
Oh, sorry, not to interrupt, but I have
Oh, you're good.
noticed that I feel like people have a lot of higher expectations for Yuri than they do for BL. Like people, like I've seen some like not even just like in like anime spaces, but just in fandom spaces in general, like like sapphic ships be called boring just because they don't have like a lot of drama when like if it was like a BL ship people would be all over it and
Hmm.
like I feel like people um like criticize sapphic ships sometimes for the same things that nobody would really have a problem with if it was um like a male ship. So
Hmm.
I think that might be kind of the reason because maybe people in a way hold Yuri to like a higher moral standard in some ways, but then like also when they find Yuri that is like not like problematic or something, then it's called like boring. So I don't really know what's going on with that. It's a bit confusing.
I think it's a twofold answer. But at least from what I'm seeing, it's just like basic misogyny, right? We hold
Yeah,
girls to a higher standard than we do boys. One, two. I have seen this. Some people are starting to talk about it and break it down. I watched a video recently talking about how guys, you need to stop asking for perfect queers. Okay, like
yeah,
for some reason there's this whole thing where they have to be the purest queer, there's nothing wrong with them and all that, and they're like, no, no,
yeah,
that's not an accurate representation of a person. um which is why some of the OC characters I've been creating recently are extremely messy, on purpose.
yeah,
Like they are queer, or they are different genders, and they're a mess. And it's like, yeah, I want messy queers because I'm tired of this whole like, no, you can't do that. We have to be perfect.
yeah,
So, yeah, two things are happening there, and um, I don't know what happens, why when people get into fandom spaces, I don't know why it's like this anymore, but like instead of getting together and enjoying things and creating things together, we're eating each other. And I don't know
Yeah.
what culturally shifted, except that we let boring normal people on the internet.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. Because it used to be fun. Like you know, I have a whole project I'm doing right now where I'm preserving all the Sailor Moon fan fiction from 1997.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
yeah, I'm enjoying it. And I was on those sites all the fucking time, and it was a great time. And now it's just like everybody is mean and sad, and I don't like it. And I get
Yeah.
it. America's in a bad place. So,
Yeah. Um, I feel like, yeah, I can see a bit of a difference sometimes, but maybe it's a little different for me because I think I mostly started being in fandom like around like the late 2010s basically, like maybe like around 2016, 2017. Um,
okay.
it's like I don't know, otherwise it wouldn't really, because of my age, it wouldn't have really been super appropriate for me to be participating in like fandom and stuff. Um,
Ugh.
yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I'm also like, oh yeah, we weren't protected
Yeah,
in the early aughts, late 90s. We
yeah,
went wherever, and it was yeah, we shouldn't have been there either. So yeah.
yeah. I actually got in trouble a couple of times because of that, but
Oh
any
no.
yeah, I used to be in like the My Little Pony fandom, which to be fair was not
Oh
safe for children.
no. Oh no, that was so bad. I watched a whole YouTube deep dive on that. Oh no.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But anyway, what was even my point? Yeah, but
It's okay.
yeah, I do feel like in in some way it was a bit more fun to be in fandom back then because I mean fandoms were still like really toxic, but
Hmm.
I feel like it was kind of a toxicity you could deal with. And I feel like people just weren't as afraid to be cringe or like maybe it was just like I was young, so like I wasn't afraid to be cringe. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
like
love cringe. I love it.
yeah, now it does feel like a little different sometimes, but um
Yeah.
yeah, there's not I feel like in a lot of fandoms there's not as much like fan projects anymore. Or like the
Mm.
fandoms I'm in that used to have them,
Hmm.
like becoming less popular, because they've been around for a while. Um,
Yeah, and the internet is dying, and so, you know, it changes the landscape.
yeah. But sometimes I can't tell whether it's like it really was more fun back then or whether I was just younger, if so I can't really tell.
I think it can be both, like there's definitely more of an exuberance that we have when we are young because we're so full of ideas and we're so full of the what ifs. And then the more we start to, like, we get older, we get a little bit more cynical, we start criticizing the world a little bit more, then everything goes into, and especially if you don't have a place to like work out how you're feeling, you work it out in fandom, which maybe isn't the place to do that because you bring the whole mood down,
Yeah,
um, depending on how you're working it out. you know,
yeah,
uh, maybe it's also purity culture. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of like, oh, we need, like I mentioned before, we need perfection. We need everything to be pureless. And it's like, no, I was reading, you know, I have to reread all of these old Sailor Moon fan fictions. I'm actively watching kids that are, well, in the past, they were kids then, um, work out their family issues in fan fiction. Like literally, there was one I had to put a trigger warning on because it was very clear that she was being molested at home
oh,
and was using the fanfic to work through those feelings. And it's like, ah. Ah,
Oh,
okay.
that's sad.
Yeah, it is, but that was the space that we didn't have any other outlet. There was no other way. And then,
Yeah.
there's someone else who's reading this fic, and you could send people emails because you would have your email linked at the bottom, and they'd be like, that's how people made friends. And they would reach out and go, hey, I read your story. I relate. You okay? That, and that's how it used to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I guess is why I'm so kind of happy for like these Instagram art collabs because it feels kind of like it used to be back in the early aughts.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be talking to you if that hadn't happened. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, someone else who likes Nana, yay!
Yeah.
Uh, we love tangents on this channel. Oh man. Oh. So yeah, I guess I didn't necessarily have a plan for this segment, just to say hi. So what we were doing was actually reading the chapter. Like we would go through the whole thing, we would go back and forth reading it. And then at the very end we would kind of like discuss it. We used to have a comment section from that website that we were reading it off of, but for some reason that person lost the domain and we lost all of our comments.
Oh man.
Yeah, it really sucked because there was someone on there who really hated Nobu, and oh, he just hated him. And they would always talk about how much they hated him and how much he was just the worst guy, and were very pro Hachi and Nana ship. And I'm like, wow, this person's really angry.
Yeah. To be honest though, I feel like sometimes the more time goes on, the more I dislike Nobu, but sometimes I feel like it's not like I I actually dislike him that much. I feel like he's just kind of fun for me to dislike. I don't know why. Like,
Oh.
yeah, I don't know. It's
Oh.
just kind of fun for me to hate on him. I don't know. I mean,
Oh.
I get where he's coming from, but like sometimes I do feel a bit annoyed with him, but it's not like serious hate or anything.
Yeah, I mean, Nobu is a golden retriever. He's he, God, he's so earnest and he is very honest, but he also does come from privilege, so he doesn't understand a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. And I guess that's why some people can get annoyed with him. I uh I think Nobu's sweet, but
Yeah,
him and
that's true.
yeah,
Sorry?
him and Hachi the same person.
Yeah.
So, I know there's a lot of people that want them to get together. I know Melissa ships them. She's like, I do ship them. I do wish that that would be like kind of end game, but I don't think that that's possible for them. And I'm like, oh, that's fair.
Yeah. To be honest, for me, I think even if Hachi hadn't gotten pregnant, I don't really think they would have worked out because I don't really think they would have that stable of a foundation for their relationship. So I think they would probably have just like broken up at some point anyway.
I think you're right. I do. Especially because, they are in their early 20s. Maybe if they dated later in life, it would be okay. But they're so young.
Yeah,
Um, but no, I don't think you're wrong about that. I think that they um maybe a little too much alike. Maybe they could be friends.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I personally like Hachi and Takumi together, but that's because they actually need each other on a very um Maslow's hierarchy of needs level, kind of.
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean.
Yeah, like cuz Hachi is good for him because she provides a stable home life, and that's something he's always wanted, and he needs it. And then, he provides financial stability for her.
Yeah,
Which I know sounds really awful, because they're like, oh, she's using him for his money. It's like, no, she also loves him. So,
Yeah, true.
and from what we've kind of seen, at least in reading in the manga, like Takumi's one of the only guys that she's ever been with it. She's just herself around, and he just accepts her
Yeah,
for
true.
all the weird little puppy dog freak outs, the whole, whole thing.
Yeah. I just kind of wish he was like nicer to her, you know.
Oh yeah, again, he's a war poodle, right? He's aggressive. He he's got an attitude problem. And yeah, there are times like when she went to that party, went to Rira's birthday
Oh yeah,
party. That was not okay. I was like, bro, like these were
yeah,
her friends first. Step the fuck off.
yeah,
But
exactly.
but he has to control everything. He has to be in control. So, you know.
Yeah.
Milisa's favorite character is Yasu. She loves him.
Oh yeah, I love Yasu too. He's awesome.
He's good. He's just a good dude.
Yeah, he is. I'm glad that like towards the end of the manga though, I'm glad that he kind of distanced himself from Nana like a little bit because I feel like they were kind of codependent and like um I feel like I feel like it was always like Yasu was giving a lot to her, but then she wouldn't really like give as much like friendship wise and like I don't know. I feel like yeah, I feel like it was kind of not always a healthy relationship and I actually kind of like him with Miyu because
Mhm.
I feel like he needs someone who's more stable because like I feel like he has to be the rock for everyone because everyone else around him is so turbulent. And he's also like one of the oldest people in the friend group and not even by that much really. So I feel like he's always put in this position where he has to be there for everyone. So I'm glad that he has like somebody who's well, okay, not that Mia's that stable because she does have her own issues, but I feel like she does do her best to, you know, deal with her issues. So then it's more of like a supportive relationship than a dependent relationship, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. So I mean, Yasu is also kind of like Shin in the way that he's very grown up because he was an orphan.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, he grew up, him and Ren in the same orphanage, so that's it, and he's very practical. And I do think that him distancing himself from Nana is just something I believe that he would do naturally, just because he knows everything. He just observes very quietly, and like you said, he's the mature one, and he does have to take care of everybody. So um, Nana is absolutely dependent on him because she has abandonment issues.
yeah,
Um, so and yeah, Miyu does have, like she's got the cutting thing and all that kind of other stuff, but like if Yasu didn't want to deal with the kiddos, I think he would just leave and never come back. He wouldn't deal with them. He wouldn't put up with
yeah,
it, but he loves them.
yeah,
So, and more specifically, he loves Nana, but he also knows that he needs to like step aside. Because Nana and, Ren have that Sid and Nancy
yeah.
romance. They idolize Sid and Nancy. They really shouldn't. But they
Yeah,
do.
I did a bit of research on like what happened with Sid and Nancy, and I was like, "Ooh, are these the people we're emulating?" Like,
Yeah, so here's the thing. In '01, romanticizing Sid and Nancy was very popular in the punk scene. That was like,
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. A lot of us had eating disorders and were using drugs. Not using our full brains. We were also all young. Not me personally, but like I say, if Melissa was here, she was running around in those circles at the time, and she's like, "Oh yeah," just she like told me straight up. She's like, "That was extremely popular. Everybody idolized them. They were like, they're Jackie Kennedy and all that." And I'm like, "That's crazy because he was psychotic, and then like the drugs and the bad and the murder and the death." And she's like, "Yeah, tragedy was really popular." So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even these days, if you look at like people my age or like a bit younger who use Tumblr, you still see like a romanticization of those things on like certain sides of like Tumblr and like Twitter and stuff. So I think that makes sense. I feel like people have always been doing stuff like that.
yeah, it's not healthy, but
Yeah.
they'll grow up and then they'll realize that's their cringe to work through when they're like, "Oh, I like that thing. That wasn't good. I
Yeah.
shouldn't have." But I mean, that's okay. They'll learn. But yeah, Yasu, yeah, he's a good guy, and I'm glad that at the very least it seems like him and Miyu stay together. Um, any hot takes on like Shoji?
Uh, Not really. I mean, I feel like I don't really like him, but like I don't really care that much about him either. Like I feel like yeah, I feel like what he did was bad and like he was kind of a crappy boyfriend. Um, I'm a little annoyed that it feels like he ended up in a better place than some of the other characters, but I guess that's kind of just how life is, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I like him with Sachiko just because it's like, well, they obviously fit better. This is
Yeah,
working better. Um Shoji as like a person, I'm just kind of like, oh. He
yeah,
reminds me a little bit of somebody that I dated, so I'm like, I'm not a huge fan
yeah,
of,
me neither.
yeah, but do I like that he and Sachiko are living a happy life? Absolutely. Go do that somewhere
Uh,
else. Far
yeah,
far
getting
away
it.
from Hachi.
Yeah,
Um, but also the ability for her to grow and have new friends is, I think, good for her. She needed to get away from the high school aspect.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't think like those friends were like very good for her because I don't know, like um I feel like I'm I feel kind of complicated about Junko because like I don't really like her that much and I want to like her because like I don't know if she's supposed to be black, but I kind of see her as part black. So I kind of wanted to like her, but I don't like her that much because of certain ways treats Hachi and part of me kind of gets it because I feel like it would be a little tiring to have a friend like Hachi who's like always making weird decisions. So I understand that part of it. But at the same time, it's like she also blames Hachi for getting cheated on, which is kind of weird. Um, but I mean, I feel like Junko in herself, she's like well adjusted. She's just like not that great of a friend.
Mhm.
And I feel like I don't think she's evil or anything. Like I hear that some people like actually think she's evil, and I think that's like too far, even as
Wow.
someone who doesn't like her. But considering
Dang.
the characters that are in this show that are like much worse than her, um,
Oh man.
er, yeah, I
Dang. Evil. Wow, that's
yeah, like it's
should go. Um, so I'll just say one thing and then I'll have a follow-up question. So I don't blame you, but I had the same thing too. I was talking to Melissa and I'm like, well, isn't, like Junko black? And she goes, no, she's Japanese. And I'm like, Japanese and also half black. She goes, no, Japanese. And I was like, well, then why is she dark skinned? And she goes, she lives in a very particular part of Japan and she works on a farm. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Uh,
She went and like did research on it. She looked up, it was like a whole thing. So like it has to do with like the indigenous sections of Japan and how
oh,
some
okay.
people are darker and how they've effectively like pushed, well, because Japan is imperialist, Japan has
Yeah,
done all the war crimes, and they have genocided the people that were there and they have pushed
yeah.
them on two separate ends. One of them live at the top and the other ones live at the bottom. So it is possible that Junko is indigenous to that area, and that's why, because some of them are, but also she lives on a farm and she works outside, so she's darker.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and for like Kyosuke, it was unfortunately very popular for people to dread their hair in the early aughts when they shouldn't have.
Oh, for cosplay? Oh, wait, no.
Her boyfriend, or
Oh,
her
yeah.
her husband probably at some point.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they seemed pretty set.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, part of me still wants to kind of headcanon them as like part black, but like it's interesting to learn like the background behind it because I didn't know.
Yeah, and I didn't either. And here's my thing though. I'm not going to take that away from anybody. Like legitimately, we don't have a lot of, I mean, you've seen it, but there's not a lot of representation for BIPOC characters within anime specifically. So I'm like, I'm not going to take that away from anyone. If they want to see Junko as black, that I don't care. I mean, she's got like kinky hair. So like
Yeah,
what are we doing, you know? But it's just it's like we had to research it, we had to figure it out, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not going to take that away from anyone because, like, there's not a lot. I can think
yeah,
of two characters off the top of my head that are not from Boondocks that are, you know,
yeah.
um, either black or biracial.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more in like shonen anime, but it depends.
Yeah, and it's like, how much of it's a stereotype? Because Japan
Yeah.
does that.
I
And it's
I think
annoying.
they're I think they're doing a better job nowadays because there's like this new anime called like I haven't watched it yet, but it's called like Gachia Kuta or something that has like I think like at least three black characters and that's like really cool to see these days.
Yeah, it's like this is important. We do need this. God damn it.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess the follow-up question is, have you ever been Junko?
I feel like yeah, I feel like there have been times where I've felt well, oh sorry. Can you clarify what you mean by being Junko? Is it like within like the feeling like Junko or is it like telling your friend that they deserve to be cheated on or something?
Honestly, I think if I remember correctly, because we did read that section, and I do think that in the original Japanese version, she does not say that. So that's purely a Western bullshit thing.
Oh, okay.
um, if I remember. But I mean, mostly in like, you have a friend, and this friend is extremely exhausting, and they're like, please run my life for me and tell me what to do, and you literally have to mother them every step of the way.
I feel like maybe not that extreme, but I've definitely had friends where like sometimes they'll like make like bad decisions. Like I have one friend who like does not have very good taste in company
Ah!
and then yeah, and then they often get into friendships with people who are not good people and then end up like being like traumatized or something and then like sometimes I can see this coming from like a mile away or something depending on the situation. Or sometimes it's like she withholds information from me about the relationship until something bad has already happened, and then I feel frustrated because I'm like, if I had known that, I could have advised you on that. But I guess like, that's kind of just friendship. Like you can't really control somebody else's actions. So I do understand to a point like where Junko is coming from, and I feel like they probably weren't very well matched as friends, to be honest. And that's probably why they kind of grow apart as like the series goes on, because I think it's mostly like when you're like in high school or something, and then you're just friends with like whoever is there, but you're not really friends because you wouldn't really be friends with them if you had more options.
No, that's fair. So I think that that kind of qualifies as a yes. Kind of sad your friend leaves out information. It's like, does she think you'll be disappointed if
Uh, maybe, maybe. I don't know. I think maybe to some degree she feels I would. I hope I don't give that impression off to her. I mean, we have like a good relationship and stuff. It's just that sometimes I get um a little frustrated because of some of the people she involves herself with. 'Cause like I think she's in a way I think in a way like Hachi, she kind of like seeks out people that she wants to help in a way, but then it's like um then it ends up becoming unhealthy. So
Yeah. I mean, you are they also in their early 20s?
yeah, she's like I don't know, like 6 months younger than me, I think.
Okay, then that's normal.
Yeah,
I mean, it is like speaking as someone who really, really likes to help people and has had a bad habit of having friends that you're like, but I really want to, like they, they need a friendship or they need this other kind of thing, and then you realize, oh shit, I made a mistake. Like it been
yeah,
there, absolutely been there. So she'll learn? Question mark? Um, or she
yeah.
won't.
I think she's already starting to learn it, so that's
Y-
good.
Yeah, yeah, I would think in some regards, like you understand what it's like to be Junko, and yeah, like I guess it's true. If you had more options, you may not necessarily be friends with that person, but it's
Well,
important to have those friendships.
yeah, I was when I was saying that I was talking about like Junko and Hachi specifically, not me and this friend, but
That's
yeah.
fair. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But Hachi needs people like that. She actually needs buffers and people to kind of mother her. At least
Yeah,
in the
true.
beginning. Um, the
I
nice
think
thing,
she does become more independent over time though.
yeah, yeah, she does, and I think being friends with Nana helps that. But it also, maybe sort of kind of helps that her and Nana are codependent in the same way.
Yeah.
Um, because they both desperately want to be friends with each other, and I'm like, yay, codependency in the same mirror. It's all good.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, kind of. Not Nana's gets very toxic because she's got that whole no, I have to bring Hachi back over to my side of the band and she belongs to me,
Yeah.
which is not a good trait. That's not good.
Yeah. I feel like what's weird is that like I feel like when I was watching like maybe the first half of the story, so like maybe like what the anime covers or whatever, I was like mostly frustrated with Hachi, but I feel like when I started reading the manga, especially that point in the manga where it starts getting more into what Nana Osaki is going through, like I
Hmm.
started feeling more frustrated with her as time went on because like I understand where she's coming from because she really like does not have like any secure attachment because of like how she was abandoned and like her bad relationship with her grandmother and stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
similar to Hachi, sometimes it's frustrating to see her like lash out at a bunch of people and stuff. Like I think the one example I can think of is like when like Sheen got in trouble with like his groomer or something and like had like the weed or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um and like she was I mean, I don't understand being frustrated at him, but also like he's the child. So
Mm.
and like none of y'all were doing anything to protect him, so I don't really know what you expected to happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, and she was like really like I actually like I have my issues with Ren, but I really respected when he was like, I'm not going to be like a base for you because of like how disrespectful you're talking about Shin right now and like wanting to replace him because like yeah, I don't think it was okay for her to act like that and I understand why that was like really off-putting to Ren.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. I mean, well, that's because Ren is also ride or die for his band.
yeah,
Um, yeah, because when one of the handlers disrespects Takumi, he's like, "Never say that in front of me ever again." And it's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna beat the crap out of you, if you talk smack about Takumi, even though it's warranted."
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's well also like during those moments in the manga, Nana's going through a mental health crisis.
That's a good
Like,
point. Yeah.
yeah, it's not an excuse. Like, she's literally like, yeah, like you said, she's lashing out at absolutely everyone. And it's like, whoa, rein it in. But like, her abandonment issues are out of control. She's got that breathing issue because she's got the anxiety. Um, she
Yeah.
feels that Ren is leaving her in some way because he already left. And that's where, that's where I think everything went wrong in her life.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, that point of the story was kind of rough. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like also because she didn't have Hachi, it
Hmm.
felt like Hachi betrayed her. I think that also contributed to it somewhat. Um,
I mean, it did, but like that's part of Nana's problem, though, right? Like Nana doesn't sometimes she's got Hachi's problem where she doesn't treat people as people with their own free will,
yeah,
you know, because Hachi has like little doll houses in her brain, you know.
yeah, true.
She's built like we probably shouldn't have done this, but Melissa and I kind of diagnosed Hachi as neurodivergent in some aspect. Um,
Yeah,
you
I feel
know,
like I've seen that interpretation somewhere before.
Yeah, it's just mostly how she's in her head all the time, doesn't listen when people are talking, and makes up entire scenarios that never happened in her own mind. And you're like, hey, hey, what are you doing? Come back. You're
Yeah,
going on a rabbit trail. Work,
yeah,
working yourself up. But yeah, she's not in a good spot. And then it just gets worse from there because, Ren passes away.
yeah.
Um, I've always been curious what happened with essentially Nana's second family because she's got a half sister.
Oh yeah, that subplot was kind of abandoned when they went on hiatus.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many. I have so many questions. That and the whole everyone having an argument about where the second kid came from, and I'm like, why are we arguing about this?
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, yeah. I've heard there's like this weird theory that like um Nana forgot to take birth control and like Sorry,
You're
like
okay.
the the girl child is like hers and Ren's or something. But I just don't really like that theory from a story perspective because I don't really think that Nana would keep the baby because she's been shown to be very against that. And then to not only keep the baby, but to have it and then abandon it like she was abandoned by her mother. Like, I think that's just a bit too depressing for me, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, that's totally understandable. Um, so at the very beginning of the podcast, Melissa and I were talking about this, and I'm like, okay, so here's my I'm not going to even call it a headcanon. I'm like, here's a thing that I saw with my eyes. um, because I also have heard that rumor that they're like, oh, she stopped taking the birth control and this is her child and she left it and in the care of essentially Hachi and ran away to the sea because she wants to be with Ren. Um, if you look at the daughter, whose name is completely escaping me at the moment,
Um,
um,
I'm thinking Sachi. No, it's Satsuki. Satsuki.
you're right. Yes, Satsuki. So, okay, my brain has to go all the way back. So there is a scene where Hachi is on the phone with Ren and they are chit-chatting. And he's asking about the baby and all this other stuff. And then, she makes this thing where she's like, Takumi keeps calling her such a go, and I just get. And then he's just like, so does it have to be like like what do you want? Like something else? Is it like a different name? And she's kind of like, yeah, anything but that. And then when we got the think boxes, she's like, Ren gave me this really beautiful name. I hope you get to hear it. I do believe that is the Satsuki. Now,
Yeah,
if you look at Satsuki, she looks like Takumi.
yeah, she
Like
does.
she looks just like Takumi. So essentially, the baby that she was pregnant with in during the time that we are seeing in the past, she's pregnant with baby Ren.
Yeah,
That's the and she names him after Ren after he passes. And
yeah,
then eventually she has a second child with Takumi and she names him Satsuki, which I do believe is the other girl name that Ren gave her when they were on the phone together.
yeah.
Effectively
That's
continuing Ren, you know. So
yeah.
that's
I
my
think
my theory.
yeah, I think they just assumed that the first child would be a girl for some reason, so then they couldn't use like the name, but then when they did have a girl and then they could use it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, because everyone at this point is assuming it's a girl because Hachi's assuming it's a girl. So everyone's like, oh, it's got to be this. And there was some rumor that Ren was actually, and I hate this one, is Ren and Rira's kid. And that always pissed me off. I
What?
was like, oh, yeah, huge rumor going around forever. And I'm like, I can't tell you how much this rumor is obnoxious. If you look at child Ren, like baby Ren, he's got Takumi's eyes. So, like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? That's not Rira's kid. But they're like, well, look at the blonde hair. And I'm like, oh my God. This is why I'm not in fandom spaces.
Yeah,
uh,
that one just doesn't even make sense. Even like the Nana being the mother makes more sense than that. So I don't know what they're on about.
I don't know. It's because like people are having sex, and I think that's what it is. They're like, oh, it could be Takumi and Rira's kid. No, it's Ren and Rira's kid because they went off together in the car ride, so they're having a relationship. It's just the most
No.
asinine. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. People just be saying shit. I don't know.
They see stuff. I'm just like, wow, we're really Hachi, aren't we? We're making up our own pavilions and castles in the air. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, um, I guess if you read a lot of, yeah, because me and Lisa and I were discussing. I'm like, did you see that there? She's like, I did, and it's really, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, it's because they didn't see them off screen for like half a second, so clearly they be fucking, and
Yeah, I
then,
don't think that's it.
and then they're having kids, even though you know, Ren is like 12 or whatever. So 10, 12 around there. The ages, they don't match up.
Yeah. I
But yeah.
I always thought he was like I don't know. For some reason I always pictured like Ren as like 7 and then Satsuki as like 5.
Yeah, I think I'm probably aging them up in my brain just because I haven't looked at their faces in a while, but that's probably more accurate.
Yeah, 'cause did is it ever mentioned like how far in the future like the present timeline is? 'Cause I don't know. For some reason I'm picturing like 7 years in my head, but I don't know.
So, something that Melissa and I were doing was she was keeping a detailed record of the time because there were moments where like the time would like we'd be reading and all of a sudden I'm like, "Wait a second, it says that it's like February 12th." And she's like, "But like in the last chapter, it said it was February 9th. Where did the time go?" Oh, no. And I'm like, "Okay, so I don't know. Have not gotten there yet. I'm still trying to keep an accurate thing of timelines. I'll let you know if they drop it at some point
Okay. Yeah,
because
that
I
makes
don't remember. I had fun. Did you? I was like, I think that was it at least for this episode. How you doing over there?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, mm, yeah, it's a fun chat. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like Nana has affected a lot of things. Like, I feel like Nana has really affected my writing because I feel like because of Nana, I write my characters to be like a lot messier than I
Yeah.
used to,
I
which
love
I
it.
find really interesting. And like, yeah, I feel like a lot of the interpersonal drama I write is like very it's like very like based on like my perception of Nana and stuff because I think that's one of the strong points of the series, like having very realistic, like interpersonal disagreements
Yeah.
to the point that like it's actually frustrating to read sometimes. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like Yazawa's good at that. Like
Mhm.
she's really, really good at that. And I mean, there's even a rumor, I guess, that like Nana might have been based on people in her actual life.
Yeah, I've
So,
heard that. I
yeah.
honestly wouldn't be surprised because I mean, I know that sometimes even when I write stuff about my characters, like I get very emotional, so I have to take a break. So I can imagine that like if it's about your own life, it might get a bit heavy to
Mm-hmm.
contain.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, we kind of speculate that might be the reason she went on hiatus because we don't know if she had an illness or not. We don't
Yeah,
know. She's a
I
very private person.
I think it might be a combination of both. Like, I think maybe she got like an illness or something, and then like later, maybe now she's a bit better or more able to manage it, but then it's like after taking a distance from it and then coming back, like the emotional part of like whatever happened to her is like what's keeping her from finishing it because maybe she's thinking about how the situation actually unfolded in her real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do hope at some point we get an ending to Nana, but don't know.
Yeah, I'm honestly not really counting on it, seeing as like a lot of people have been waiting for like many, many years, and I just came in and like, yeah, 'cause like, I mean, if you think about it, like for it's been on hiatus for like almost as long as like my lifespan, if you think about it. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, uh, but maybe, I mean, I feel like at this point, like maybe she shouldn't even bother with the art. Like maybe she should just like write a light novel or something to finish the series or something. So it's
Hmm.
easier.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean that could be what ends up happening because I know for a lot of mangaka, they do get sick because of those long hours and the drawing, and it's a lot.
Yeah. I think like the author of Berserk, he died because of like a heart condition that's like caused specifically by a lot of stress. And like I
Mm-hmm.
read in his author's notes, like for a while he's been like complaining about like not having like time to himself or like various health issues and stuff. So it's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, and I mean so I didn't actually know this until Melissa had mentioned it, but I guess like the what he had drawn wasn't just on like little scraps of paper. He was drawing like gigantic murals of his
Yeah.
work, and I'm like, that is insane. That's crazy. And she also kind of speculated that he probably knew some kind of form of alchemy or certain kind of magic, which also contributed to like why he wore down so quickly. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know, but I like this theory. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, she's like, it's just because of what because she's like, I read Berserk, and she's like, and there's stuff in there. She's like, there's stuff. He knows stuff. And I'm like, I'll believe you. I'm not a Berserk fan. I can't absorb that much pain. So, I mean, I can, but I don't, I try to take it in small doses. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I mean, I love tragedies, but not
Like,
not that much. Berserk is hard.
yeah, I haven't read it yet either. I was thinking about it, but I'll have to see. Um, because like one of my friends actually has read it because I think at first she was like kind of she had heard about like the kind of like parts of it that are a bit like problematic and she was complaining about it. So then she actually started reading it and was like, wait, this is actually kind of a good story though. Um, and yeah, so that's pretty interesting. But it's very sad what happened to the writer, but yeah, I'll
Mhm.
have to see if I can handle it one day because honestly, there was a point where like even reading something like Nana was like very not well, more like watching it. I feel like watching it was more painful than reading it. It was like very painful for me and like I had to like stop binging it necessarily because it was just like too much. Um,
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I feel like after the pregnancy part, it just got like very anxiety inducing for a period of time. Um,
Mhm.
like it's weird because I feel like I've watched series that are darker than Nana that don't haven't necessarily made me feel that way. And I think
Mhm.
it's because Nana feels so realistic and personal.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it hurts you more when
Yeah.
things happen. Yeah.
Mhm. No, that it absolutely does. It's why if I go back and read it, sometimes I will do it kind of like in the middle and not from start to finish because I'm like, ah, it's going to be extremely heavy.
Yeah.
And I don't
I
feel like it.
yeah, like even now, right now, I don't think I want to like reread or rewatch Nana right now because like even thinking about it is a bit painful for me.
Hmm. That never goes away. That part will just kind of stays with you forever. Um, which I guess was maybe sort of the reason we started this podcast was it was a perfect time for Nana. It was one kind of a little bit of an escapism, but at the same time it's like, oh, this is um at least this is pain that is in between two pages and we can set it down and then come back to it when we want to. Whereas on our phone it does not escape. So,
That's a good point, yeah.
yeah. See what you did, Nana?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see, how long, what's the time here? Let me look at my time. Oh, yeah, we've been recording for a good long while.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Um, any other like thoughts at all before I'm like closing the segment out awkwardly because I don't know how to do it because my format's different right now?
I guess I'd ask like, who would you say is your favorite character and your least favorite character?
Ooh, that's hard. You said that before. I mean, like the more I reread it and, like, and especially talking about it with me, Lisa, I am growing very fond of Yasu.
Yeah.
Um, and I do love Shin. Shin was always
Yeah.
my favorite. I think it's because I have that toxic trait. I wanted to protect him. I wanted to take care of him,
Oh
even though
yeah.
he was,
I
yeah.
think everybody wants to take care of him. Even Hachi wants to take care of him.
Oh yeah, and that's my favorite relationship. Like she's like, "I'm your
Yeah.
mom now." I'm like, "Yes. Yes." So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I just think that's beautiful. And because he's like, "Why couldn't I have been born your child?" And I'm like,
Oh, yeah, that was really
"Stop."
sad.
And she's like, "Perfect." And then tells Takumi, "You have to love Shin or I'm not going to marry you." And I'm like, "Yes, girl, set that boundary." Um, so yeah, I love Shin. Man, least favorite character. I don't hate Takumi. The people that I kind of hate are kind of the people that I don't think people talk about. I hate the press.
Oh
I
yeah, they
think
suck. Yeah.
yeah, the mosquitoes, hate them. Like they're probably where I direct a lot of my ire because they're digging around and it's none of their business and they're wrecking people's lives. They don't care. They're arguably the reason why Ren is dead.
Yeah,
Like,
they are.
yeah, I mean, I know that he was probably high. Um,
I think
you
he
know,
was, yeah. Or
yeah.
he was on withdrawal, I don't know.
Yeah, one of the two, right? Like I mean, they even said like it kind of looked like he purposely drove his car into the warehouse. Um, so it's like, but he saw Nana at the last second, and he thought it was her. It was actually just a cat. But it's like, if you read a lot of other Yazawa's work, which have you read anything besides Nana?
Oh, I think like I see things about like her other work and like the men in them, and then I just get kind of scared because it just seems like, Takumi times two sometimes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I will give you that. I will say that last quarter is probably my second favorite Yazawa next to Nana. I just because we recently got that translated for the first time in the States last year. Um, it's beautiful. It's a ghost story, not to give too many spoilers. Um,
That's cool.
yeah, but that's why in the manga when they talk about Adam, like Adam is from last quarter. So
Oh, okay.
Yazawa is always referencing her own work.
Oh, cool.
um, which is why Melissa called it the Yazawa verse because it all connects. Um, and then, George is from Parakis, and yeah, I'm not a fan of George. Um,
Yeah, I feel like
he,
I've heard some things about him, but
ugh, yeah, I mean, props to him because he's a bisexual babe, so like representation is great, but also he's so mean. He's just, he's so mean, and I don't like it. Um,
oh,
so he's my least favorite. Um, but that's a different series. But yeah, I think I don't necessarily know if there's a character or not. I don't like it's mostly like the external forces. I really hate the the mosquitoes, and there's a part of me that has a deep-seated dislike of Nana's mother.
Oh,
Um,
okay, that's fair.
yeah, she's a very, I find her to be a very selfish woman. Um, and I'm just like, how are you going to abandon one daughter and then go make a second family and then just pretend like your first daughter didn't happen? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, and then she abandoned that family too, like
Like, right? Like, no, I'm just like, as a person, I don't like you, and you're wrecking more than one life. So why are you like this?
yeah,
Um, and then I guess just straight up admits like, oh, I never wanted to be a mother. And it's like, you had a choice. You had a choice like three times over at this point. So yeah,
yeah,
those are the people. None of the mains, side characters. Those are the ones that I
yeah,
dislike.
yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah. Um, but all the rest of them, I do much like you. I love and care about them in their own way. There are certain characters I get frustrated with um, at certain times during the story, but then I kind of move on. Like I think if Shoji had stayed throughout the series, he'd probably be my most hated character,
Yeah.
just by the
More than
nature of
more than Takumi though.
yes, because my toxic trait is I really like hot bad men. So, um, I, he's yeah. I think when I was your age, um, I I did have like a I wouldn't even call it a deep-seated hatred for Takumi because I was very blindsided by how pretty he is. I'm just like, oh, you're so pretty. And now as like a more adulty adult, I'm like, no, I can't hate you because I see how every choice you have made was very purposeful. I don't like that you cheated on your wife. That part I could live without. Um, I don't like that you control the people around you and that you feel that you're more entitled to be in charge than anybody else, but I understand why you're like this. So it's okay. So no,
Yeah.
I don't hate Takumi. I frustrated? Yes. Hate? Nah, I've never really hated him. Oh,
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, I know that's probably not. I can like hear the Nana fandom being like, what? Just absolutely coming for me, and I'm like, but I can't, because once you cross the line of 30, like once this story ages with you, you'll see it too, and you might not hate Takumi anymore.
Okay, I'll see.
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, if you come back to me in like, I don't know, like 10 years or so, and I'm like, no, yeah, I still hate him. I'll be like, okay, that is valid. That is so valid.
Yeah.
Um, but as you age with the story, your perceptions will absolutely change because where I started with it is not how I've progressed. So
Yeah,
I
that makes sense.
yeah, I can't wait to see how yours changes in even just a few years' time. By the time you hit 25, you might feel completely differently about many characters.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Alrighty, cool. So I'm going to end Craig here. If I remember how to do that, get in my thing. Um, Thank you guys so much for joining us here on Nanopod, and thank you for also agreeing to be on this small episode.
Yeah, thank you. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah. Let me jump back here into my DM. Um, mm, 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 mm. So, I guess the only other question I have before I'm also like logging off. Um, Did you ever want to come back and do this again?
Sure. It might be a little difficult to find the time, but like, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. You just let me know if and when you have time because I'm still going to be doing I'm going to be reading the chapters, and we always just read like one chapter per episode, going back and forth. You know, we would be like, okay, this is what's going on in the scene, and then there's a scene change, and then we'll pick it up, and then at the end we would just talk about like what happened and how we feel about like what happened, and like, man, when this character said this, like, I don't know if this is what she meant, just all that kind of stuff. It was just like a mini deep dive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, if you ever wanted to, just let me know, because I can easily get you in now. So
Okay.
that'll work. Um, but yeah, again, thank you so much, and I'll hopefully, I'll message you and stuff on Instagram. You'll see me around there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.